Welcome to Elk County, Kansas. And I have driven down a back road to get to the county line, and when you're on a dirt road or a gravel road like this and you come upon the county line, they don't have big signs to welcome you, but they have a little sign abbreviated EK for Elk and BU for Butler, because it's the Elk and Butler County line. And so we're going to explore Elk County. And I've been here before. I've done a couple videos. I've done a video about Howard, Kansas, and a video about Moline, Kansas, and they're two of the bigger towns. The population is pretty small in Elk County now, but I've been here before. But there's more to see. There's some really small towns, maybe some ghost towns. So when Kansas was created in 1861, after it was a territory, this area wasn't formed as a county immediately, and this is actually given to the Osage Indians for hunting purposes. So they were buffalo and other animals here, and it was kind of reserved for that. And then 1867, it became a county, but originally was Howard County. And there for the next 8 years, there were disputes about the county seats and things like that. And so they ended up dividing it into two counties. There's Chautauqua County, and then they made Elk County. And so it kind of divided Howard into two. And then Howard, the town, became the county seat of Elk County. And it was a pretty large, well-populated county. It got up to 12,000 people, and now down to 2,400. And so we're gonna explore around and try to figure out why. There's kind of two main roads. There's 99 goes east, or goes north and south, and that actually connects Howard and Moline. And then there's 160, which goes east and west, and it's kind of in the southern part of the county. And I'm up here in the northwestern part of the county, and there's not much here in the northern half. We're gonna see what we can find. There may be some cemeteries, maybe some remnants of some old ghost towns. So we're gonna go across the northern part and then kind of go south and come back west, and that'll be more towns along that 160. There's quite a few towns actually. So it should be an interesting exploration adventure. It's 100 degrees already. I've got my North Pole Alaska shirt on to try to bring me some cool vibes, but 100 degrees and windy in southeast Kansas, pretty typical in the late summer, early fall in Kansas. Let's go check out Elk County. If you're not a regular watcher of this channel, just so you know, I like to go to old cemeteries and see if I can find clues as to maybe there were towns or communities around here. This is Clear Creek Cemetery. It's been a while. I've been driving for a while, and this is the first thing I could find. And it's just a kind of a big old wide open cemetery. A lot of headstones marked in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and a lot of space. There's plenty of room here, so maybe there was a community in this area. I wasn't aware of one. There were, certainly lots of post offices that are no signs of those anymore. So probably was. I mean, if there's 12,000 people in this county, there had to have been people in this part of the county. But driving here was mostly just a couple ranches and long gravel roads, trying to avoid big rocks to not get a flat tire. So yeah, it's pretty, it's beautiful, and very sparsely populated for sure. Well, there's supposed to be a cemetery right down the road here, so I guess hopefully the cemetery is before the road closure part. Well, we keep finding some old cemeteries, which I find these really fascinating. These really very rural cemeteries. Obviously, they're very old. They have, nice little simple signs on them. I like that classic look, and they're very well kept. they have all been well kept. So also I'm at the Bunker Hill Cemetery, and right on the road I turned here, there was an old building on the corner, maybe it was a school. And the only reason I say that because there were tons of schools in Elk County. And in fact, there was something like, when it was Howard County, before they separated them, it was over 100 school districts. And then when they separated them, there's still something like 75 school districts in Elk County. And it's not a huge county, so they had to have, schools everywhere. And I'm hoping we'll run into some, schools. I've read that there might still be a few of those schools. They might have been moved to towns, but maybe we'll find some out here. Maybe that's what that was. Wouldn't surprise me because it's kind of the size of what those old schools were. So yeah, it was a slow start in terms of finding any kind of towns, but we are finding little clues about maybe what was in the northern part of Elk County. Just like we were talking about, maybe that one place was a school. We found our first kind of like documented school here. This is Paw Paw Township. And there's Lower Paw Paw School, and there's an Upper Paw Paw as well. Hopefully we can find that. But it's nice, they got the dates right on it. It was used from 1906 to 1950, and obviously it's been refurbished. And on the inside, looks like they're using it for some kind of storage or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of cool to find one of the old schools, one of the dozens of schools of the early 1900s in Elk County. We made it around to the county seat of Elk County, Howard, Kansas, and this is a really interesting town with a fascinating history. I did an entire video. One of the first ever Small Town USA videos I did was about Howard, Kansas. It's got cool red brick down the main street, and a lot of interesting things to see. And right here behind me, this is actually called Union Center Schoolhouse, and right before I got here, I went to where Union Center was, where the schoolhouse or the school, district / schoolhouse used to be. And it was built in 1912 and was used for a few decades, and then about 30 years ago got moved over here because it's basically a historical area, museum type place here for Elk County. So nice that they kept the schoolhouse in somewhat of its original form, and now they can tell the story about Union Center. And like I said, there's a lot of schools here, and so yeah, definitely check out my video on Howard, because I'm not going to go through it again here, but very cool place. We've gotten over to the middle of the northern part of the county, so a long way to go still, but finally we found a town. So the clouds have made it a little cooler than it was supposed to be, but the wind is kicking up, and I think the sun's coming, so the heat is coming right back. But anyways, here at the Cresco Cemetery, right on Highway 99, and Cresco had a post office from 1876 to 1880. Cemetery says 1888, so obviously some sort of community was around this area at that time, and a lot of the headstones, are from that area or from that time frame. So pretty cool little spot. And then also when you pull off to park here for the cemetery, I'm guessing the original Route 99 came right through here, because there's a little patch of the old road there. So that's kind of cool to see, the old road, which I'm guessing went right past Cresco Cemetery. A little bit ago we found the Lower Paw Paw School, and kind of driving around some back roads a little bit north, we found Upper Paw Paw. So it's kind of fun to find both of the schools. This one is not as well kept, in some high weeds, so I'm not going to venture too close. There's a lot of very large birds flying around, and I think they've made it their home. So, but yeah, this was certainly important in this area, and you know, it's still here in its original location, so that's pretty cool. Well, we've been driving around these back roads trying to find some stuff, and sometimes find something, sometimes you don't. Trying to dodge all the big jagged rocks in the roads. Easy, so easy to get flat tires on places like this. But we have come up to a really cool looking old school. This is Union Valley School. It was built in 1924. I don't know how long it was into, you know, it lasted in terms of having classes, but man, it's a really cool looking school. It's not the typical like cookie cutter school that they made. Near this cemetery was the site of an interesting town called Cave Springs. In the early 1870s, a Dr. E.H. Long, who was known more for his promotional ability than his skill as a doctor, established a health resort in Elk County. He acquired 80 acres of land in this area. Its name was derived from the fact that there's a large overhanging rock which formed a cave, and from this cave flowed several springs. The water from the springs was the basis for Dr. Long's promotional activities. Before long, patients soon began to arrive. They built a hotel, and the construction of a water system from the springs right into the hotel was included, and then the hotel was filled most of the time. Dr. Long did not remain for any great length of time, however. Many of the patients began to question the healing properties of the water. Then the town declined rapidly after that, and the cave was used for a few years to manufacture cheese. The post office closed in 1903, and the only thing left of the community today is the Mount Zion Cemetery. I just came from way over there, across that bridge. There was looked like an old school there. Crossed the bridge and came over here. This is Wade Cemetery. It's a very small cemetery, very old. Haven't seen any burials later than like the 19-teens, mostly in the 1880s, 1890s. You can see it's a little bit overgrown, not terribly overgrown, but just kind of here on the side of the road. And I don't know much about if there was a community or anything more than the school, if that's what that was. But I love finding these old cemeteries where it's probably been over 100 years since anybody was buried here. So we started the day in the farthest western point of Elk County on a back road where it had a sign that was kind of abbreviated for the counties and for the county line, and now we've done the same thing on this side because we've come up to Wilson County. And as I was driving up, you know, I was trying to find a cemetery, and it was kind of off the road, but there was no road to it. There was just some old, like, like a fence that looked like private property. So was like, I don't want to end there. And so came up to the county line and noticed just a few hundred yards past the county line, there's an old bridge. It was actually an old railroad bridge. So I cheated a little bit. I'm in Wilson County, although we're very close to the Elk County line. I thought this would be a much better place to stop, and I roll up, and man, what a beautiful old railroad bridge over the creek here. And you know, you just don't see things like this very often. Usually they get torn down, and luckily, you know, it's still here for us to check out. So we're near New Albany, which, like I mentioned, is in Wilson County. So hopefully you liked this video. It was not a lot of towns, but there were some old schools and cemeteries, and I enjoyed it. Now the next part is going to have more towns. So part 2, if you come back next week, you're gonna see several towns. Probably see some stuff like we saw in this video, but there are actually incorporated towns gonna be in part 2. So if you're looking at that kind of stuff, more historical areas, then please come back for that. Hopefully you enjoyed part 1 of Elk County, Kansas. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of that video. And now that you're here, let me tell you a little bit about some of the extras that we have on the channel. One of the things you can do is you can become a member. There's 3 levels. There's the supporter level, there's the producer level, and the executive producer level. And all 3 levels have different perks, and as you are more supportive financially, there's more perks. We have extra videos every week and a lot of fun stuff going on in the member section. If you haven't done so, make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com. We've got lots of extra stuff on there, and one of the things is merchandise. You can get you Travel with a Wise Guy t-shirt. We have Death Go Round t-shirts. We have some coffee mugs, different things that are a lot of fun, and people seem to have enjoyed. Good quality there. Also on the website, you can do things like check out the Google map. I have a pin dropped in every place I've done videos about, then a link to the video so you can look at the map, and maybe there's somewhere where you live or somewhere you want to go. You can check out that map, and it seemed to be a very popular thing. You can sign up for my newsletter. I do that about every 3 weeks. It's totally free. And there's also all kinds of other links and tidbits in there, old videos, podcasts, just everything I could think of I throw on the website. So make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com. Thank you for everyone who has been supportive of this channel, and thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. And now for the reason you're probably here, the outtakes. Making some good progress.